Yeah, people on the street corners. I think it's a balance of, there's a passage where Jesus says, "Give to him who asks of you," and then there's also 1 Timothy chapter 5, where it talks about the widows. Is that 1 Timothy 5? Where it talks about the widows who are needy, who are truly in need, and you need to evaluate, because some widows have other people who could help them, like family members, and so the family should take care of them first. So in other words, what he's saying is, use your discernment. So you have your discernment passages, and then you have your passages that just give to the one who is in need. And so I think there's a balance. I think we understand, we call it enabling, and there are people who are greatly hurt who they could work, but they're not working. And now what you're doing is you're just giving them money, and now that's an incentive not to work. And if hunger was the alternative, many of them would work rather than starve to death. And you've got the Thessalonians passage that says, if anyone does not work, let him not eat. In other words, you're not willing to work and earn your way. But that's where need comes in. So you look at Lazarus, the rich man and Lazarus, and Lazarus who's crippled and he's at the gate, and there's nothing he can do to earn a living, or if he can do anything, it's extremely limited. It's not enough to give him sufficient food. And the rich man is condemned for ignoring the plight of the beggar. And Scripture is full of the commands, the widows, the orphans, those who are truly in need. So the question you're asking is one of the most difficult ones I sometimes give to people on a street corner. Somebody, you walk out of a restaurant, is pretty common. Somebody will say, "Hey, do you have any change that you could share with me?" And I usually have, like a gospel booklet with me or something, and I'll give them some money, and I'll give them the gospel booklet, and I'll go, "Is it possible they're going to use it for alcohol?" Yes, it is. There are other times where I've had more time where I say, "Hey, yeah, do you want a hamburger or something?" And I'll take you over there. Not long ago in Gresham, there was a guy where I live. There was a guy that came up to a couple of us who were coming out of a coffee shop, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, I'm from out of the area. I took a bus in. I don't have any money. I'm hungry. I just wondered if I could, impose on you, get something to eat." And I said, "Hey, look, there's a place to eat right there. Let's just go over." So, and it actually was time for me to eat too. And I had coffee in the morning, but I was there for about 3 hours. It was lunch. And so, talked to this guy, heard his story. We had lunch together. I would say whenever you can, have a relationship, build a bridge to the gospel, it's a great thing. But other times, most of the time, I'm walking past the people. And same thing when you travel overseas. I mean, and often you'll be with missionaries and they'll say, "Look, if you give to everybody who asks you for something, you will have nothing left, no money." So just understand, once you start, there's no end, to this. And that's difficult, it's challenging, it's easy to rationalize and say, well, they'll just use it for drink. And I remember C.S. Lewis telling a story of how, if you, because he would generously give to people, and he says, they're just going to use it for drink and tobacco. And then Lewis says, well, that's what I'm going to use it for if I don't give it to them, because